Yeah, so when I do the Facebook stuff, I uh I was just doing the general thing and I'm not really finished yet. So I just wanted to put it out there and I was hoping for some feedback, but I didn't get too much, which is fine.
I gave
It's
you
what
some thumbs ups.
you did.
Thumbs
But
up. Yep.
I figured we'd because we talked, I know there's one player we both absolutely love
Mm-hmm.
that we talked about already. So
Yeah.
I'm hoping there's some crossover there. But
Yeah.
it'll
Yeah.
be
I'm excited.
yeah, it'll be easier to edit. However, you gave me a pretty much impossible task. Only 10?
Yeah, I know.
Well,
Well, and here's the thing too, because I have a couple more that I really like. So, I think we can maybe do some honorable mentions as well.
I've got 22 honorable mentions. So that
Pick your
might be,
favorite three or something.
yeah, that's crazy. All right. Um, yeah, it was a wild because I was just going through all the players, everything. And before we get started, welcome everybody to a new episode of Boudet Lounge. I am your host, Cincinnati France, along with my co-host and one of my best friends, Adam Steely. Say what's up, Adam.
What's up, everybody? Who day?
Boudet. Yeah. Oh, we usually end with that, but we're gonna start with that. All
Yeah,
right.
let's start with that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's draft. It's almost draft week. So
It is. We'll keep this as evergreen as possible because there's no telling how long it's going to take me to edit it. But the draft is almost here, and that's what we're here to talk about. We're going to talk about the draft a little bit. And right before we got started, we were talking a bit about what we were looking for with the draft picks and whatnot. Well, before we get to the draft, Adam, the last time we talked about our favorite sporting events. I talked about Reds opening day, and I told you that I had the $2 bill
you
signed by
did, yeah.
Brett Cook, and he signed it Rookie of the Year.
That is
Brett
cool.
Cook. So
we have evidence now.
Yeah, so that is awesome. One of my and it's still like crinkled up. I've done it a disservice, so I need to get it framed or something. So I will try to do that now that I found it and I know where it is.
That is cool.
Yeah, rest in peace,
That's
Brett Cook.
Yes, sir. Oh, since we're doing show and tell, I think I need to show everybody my T-shirt, right?
I agree.
Yeah. So everybody might remember this. A lot of good memories from Riverfront Stadium.
Love the Riverfront.
Yeah, my sister got me this shirt for Christmas, and I love it.
Oh, that is awesome. Well, I got my what is this? The classic Cincinnati, Ohio home, shirt. Not
there you go.
Here.
Looks good.
Speaking of stadiums, there's talk about building a new stadium or just doing the renovations, roof, no roof. I mean, there's a lot going on in Cincinnati these days.
Yeah.
Have you heard about that?
I haven't heard so much about that. It's funny though, because this time last year or maybe 2 years ago, we were talking about how the Bengals lease might run out. They may not renew the lease, might have to look for a new home, new city, even maybe. And now, of course, the Bengals have made two appearances in the AFC Championship game in the last 2 years, and now, hey, let's build these guys a stadium. So it's kind of funny.
Well, I don't think we're there yet, and I'm not sure.
No.
And I'm not sure making it to the Super Bowl or to the AFC Championship game I'm not sure if that's going to help or hurt actually. Because it gives the Bengals more ammunition to ask for more. And the county, I'm not sure if they're going to be willing to give more, but we'll find out. But that's a 2026 problem, I believe, that needs to get hashed out here pretty quickly. So hopefully it'll get done. I'm not sure where they would build a new stadium or where they would play if they had to like blow up Paul Brown Stadium to build a new stadium on the spot. They would have to spend at least 2 seasons somewhere else. So it can get complicated if they actually try to rebuild. Another off the top of my head, there was a survey or something that said the FC Cincinnati Stadium was the best soccer stadium in the world.
I've seen that before, which is kind of crazy to me to think about with all these stadiums in Europe and South America, and I'm not sure who the author of this article was, or if it was just opinion, but from what I hear, it's state of the art. There's some big matches that have been played there. I think U.S. and Mexico were playing there this week sometime, maybe. So yeah, I mean, it's the real deal. I think we should be proud as Cincinnati people who grew up in Cincinnati, I guess would be a better way to say it. Yeah, we should have a lot of pride in that.
And I think we do. And I think they're undefeated. They're undefeated at home so far this season. So yeah, good things are coming their way. Hopefully an MLS championship is on the horizon.
That would be cool. Yeah, I think they were in first place the last time I looked. So, man, crazy. What a turnaround.
I know. And we can actually watch. Well, we have to pay a bunch extra, but we can watch the MLS games here. But it's part. Cool. Yeah, but it's part of a package that is just way too expensive. And listen to me now, NFL. I saw those prices for the YouTube, the
YouTube
new
TV,
YouTube TV, the new NFL Network thing. If they raise the prices to that price point for us here in Europe, who am I kidding? I'm going to pay it.
People are going to pay it. Yeah,
I'm going to pay for it. But I don't think that they're counting on people who live in Europe to actually pay 500 euros to watch the NFL. I don't think that's in their plans. But if it is, I would like to say I'm not going to pay those prices, but I'd be lying.
But you will.
Yeah, I will. Because who they? That's why. We got that out the way. So today we are here to talk about the NFL draft, and Adam charged me with an impossible task because we haven't had time to get on here and talk about all the individual positions, unfortunately. But we're going to talk about our 10 favorite prospects for the Cincinnati Bengals to target in this year's NFL draft. I'm not sure how I got to 10. I'm not feeling very confident in this list, but I did my best to break it down to 10, only 10. And it was a tough task. What about for you, Adam?
I completely agree. I had a pretty long list of people that or players that I thought would be really good fits for the Bengals, guys that I really liked. So yeah, I mean, I'm like you, getting down to 10 has been quite difficult, but I like my list. And as we've talked about in the past, we have guys that, could be some early round targets that could really fit in well with the Bengals, but we also kind of like to find those diamonds in the rough, so to speak, some guys you can find in later rounds that might be good values. So I have a few of those on my list as well. I'm curious to see who you came up with, and I have a hunch, I have this nagging suspicion that we're going to have some of the same players on our respective lists. So I'm curious to see.
I know we have one.
We for sure have one. I feel like there's going to be more than one, though. Okay. So, yeah. Well, and by the way, I mean, and our audience needs to know that we do not rehearse this. None of this is scripted. This is us saying, hey, I've got a list. You've got a list. Let's compare. So you're seeing this as it's happening. So I think this will be kind of fun.
Yeah, and you're saying me disagree with Adam as it happens for some of these guys.
Which happens a lot, yeah. So
yeah. But all right, so before we jump into that, and unfortunately, because I haven't told you this yet, one of the things I was looking forward to this draft season was your top 5 cornerbacks list. And I don't know if you can do this off the top of your head. I know I'm just kind of throwing this out there to you. There might be a couple on your list, I'm sure. But the reason I wanted your opinion on the cornerbacks is because I pretty much respect your cornerback opinion more than I respect some of the experts' opinion at this point. Because you don't miss when it comes to cornerbacks. like you don't, and I'm just sitting here dumbfounded, like, wait, what? You don't miss. So I'm at the point, and I do this begrudgingly, if I said that right. I think that you're a better evaluator of cornerbacks than I am.
Well, that's high praise, and I appreciate that. Yeah. I think a blind squirrel can find a nut here and again.
But that's not true.
But one thing I look for in corners is, and it's not just about the prototypical cornerback build. I like to see guys who have good instincts, quick reflexes, good body control, because you don't want to get a guy that's going to come in and, pass interference here and there every game. I want a guy that's going to limit those penalties. So what I look for in cornerbacks when I'm watching film of these guys are guys like that they're going to have the instincts, they have good awareness. So there are, and because you mentioned that, yeah, there are some cornerbacks on my list that I like. I think I picked two of them out. One in particular, I'd probably buy a jersey the day he gets drafted if they were to draft him. All right,
so can you give me three who are not on your list but you still love?
Yes, I can. Deonte Banks is one. Love Deonte Banks. He's a first-round grade. I don't know if he'll get to the Bengals, but he's one I really like. Travius Hodges-Tomlinson is another guy that I like out of TCU. He's a guy that I think he was the Defensive Player of the Year in FBS last year, the cornerback. I really like him. The knock on him is he's a little bit undersized, which to me, can you play football?
Right, but he looks tiny. I love him.
Yeah,
he was on my top 10 to like the last second. He looks tiny.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is fine against the Ravens, not so good against the Steelers.
Right. Yep.
Yeah,
so he was another one, and then he's not a corner, but he's a defensive back, Sidney Brown for Illinois. He's one that I've been on the fence with. He's a polarizing prospect to me, because if you watch him, he doesn't look like a prototypical safety. But gosh, he's athletic. And he comes up with big plays. He's probably projected more as a special teams contributor at first, but he's a guy that could sort of work his way into to a starting lineup at some point. So those are a few that kind of jumped out at me. But what about you?
Well, I think you hit Travius Hodges-Tomlinson. Love him. I would not be mad if the Bengals drafted him. The only thing that concerns me is he's small, but he looks small. Mm-hmm. So if the Ravens continue to go out and accumulate all these shorter wide receivers, 6 foot and under, I'm fine with that. My friend Josiane and myself, we talked about that in French. So if you want to go hear me speak French, you guys can go look at that video.
I tried to watch that and I got about 30 seconds in and thought, well, I can't follow this. So I tried.
Well, you could learn something. Maybe next time I'll put on a scroll some learn French, like some French lessons or something. That could help.
Right.
It might be a bad idea. But yeah, I love him. I love him when he's going, to think about him going up against the Ravens receivers. I love that. Against Pittsburgh, not so much. And I guess Mekhi Blackman would be a third or fourth. So
here's another kind of not wrinkle, but just something to point out. I was reading the other day that Awuzie's rehab progress is really, really going well. So he's on track to see significant playing time in 2023, which is great. So the Bengals, I think they'll target a cornerback, probably day one or day two. Well, probably day two, really. But even if they get one in the first round that they really like, I wouldn't complain. I mean, cornerback depth is vitally important, as we know. So
one I forgot, Deonte Banks. I'm right there with you. I just don't think he's going to be there when the Bengals pick. But if he is there when the Bengals pick, I mean, that's, for me, it's pretty much a no-brainer.
Yep. Oh, but absolutely. Yeah. Yep. I agree with you.
But I'm glad we agree on some of those guys. So that makes me feel better about the prospects. Okay. So before we start talking about some of these other things, I guess we can jump right in it. So this is your call. You did your topic, what you wanted to do. So I'll let you determine how we do it, what order we go in, and whatnot.
Yeah, so my thought is, why don't we just each start with our top 10 or number 10, go back and forth, and then just kind of work our way down was my thought.
Okay, 10 being
our
worst.
10th favorite prospect.
Wow, because I'm not sure I did these in order. I think
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
10th. Yeah.
I can make it up off the top of my head as I go along. But
okay.
I think,
not worst, 10th best.
10th best. 10th. Not necessarily the best, but who we like best for the Bengals.
Yes, correct.
Okay. Cool.
Yep.
We can do that.
It's not even the best for the Bengals in my list. I'm kind of looking at value. I'm looking at fit. And you know what? It doesn't necessarily have to be in order.
Okay.
Let's just go 10-1 and
Okay.
yeah.
I'll go. Okay, I'm good.
All right. So why don't you start?
All right, so with number 10, I'm going with guard Jackson Kirkland out of Washington. Now, I'm not going to tell you how much I struggled with finding 5 offensive linemen who I wanted to target in this draft. It was incredibly difficult, especially for the tackles. Jackson Kirkland played left tackle the previous 2 seasons. Then he moved inside to left guard last year, and he played very well. And right now, PFF has him going in, I think, the 4th round, 165. Draft Buzz has him at 180. Mock Draft Database has him going in the 7th round. Now he's at 243. So I think if the Bengals could get Jackson Kirkland in like the 5th round, something like that, 5th round with the 163rd overall pick, I would love that selection.
Yeah, and to your point, it seems like a lot of the tackles I looked at, a big percentage of them are projected to move inside, So not only are we scouting guards, but we're scouting tackles who will probably play guard in the NFL level. So that makes it a little bit more difficult too. So
agreed.
Yep. I like that one. Yeah. I haven't watched him as much, but having depth on the offensive line for the Bengals is definitely not a bad thing. So,
and plus he can play. He has the versatility, left tackle, left guard, but he's a guard all the way, and he's going to be a good one.
All right, I like it. All right, my number 10. I know this is a guy that you like, Chase Brown, running back, Illinois. Yeah, see, and this was what I was saying earlier. I came up with my list, and then Glenn started writing about these guys and stealing my thunder a little bit. But yeah, I know that you like Chase Brown. He's 5'9.5", 209. He ran a 4.4 30. Second team All-American last year. He was 4th in the FBS in all-purpose yards with over 1,800 yards. In fact, he had 100 yards rushing in 9 consecutive games last year, which is kind of crazy. So he's definitely a volume back. He's a workhorse. He'll get a lot of work, and he's a guy that can catch the ball out of the backfield and does catch the ball out of the backfield. Just a couple knocks on him, maybe a little bit better recognition in the blocking game. So he's not somebody right away that's going to be the best pass protector for Burrow, although he does a decent job. So again, he's just a guy I really like. He can be a 3-down back, like I said. Explosiveness out of the backfield. He makes good cuts. He doesn't have necessarily a second gear, but he has pretty good straight line speed. So might be one of the reasons he's more of a 4th round, maybe 3rd or 4th round guy. But if he falls, the Bengals see him there and they haven't drafted a running back yet, give Chase Brown consideration for sure.
Okay, I was with you until I wasn't.
Okay.
Chase Brown might be my favorite running back in this draft.
Okay.
He might be the best running back for the Cincinnati. And I know a lot of people are talking about representing out of Texas in the 1st round. But when you think about getting Chase Brown in the 3rd round, what he can do, what he brings to your football team, he might be, if he's not my 1st, he's my 2nd favorite running back in this draft. I can't disagree with you more. And the reason why he's either my 1st or 2nd favorite running back in this draft is because of what he does in the pass block game. Adam, I watched all of these guys pass block like a million times. I went through every damn game and pass block attempt, and I watched every one of them. And man, all right, so he played against Wisconsin. He ran up against Nick Herbig. Now, Nick Herbig, at one point, he was like a 1st round draft pick, but now I guess he's going to be 2nd or 3rd round, day 2 anyway. He had 36 career sacks, 15.5 tackles for loss last season alone. And he ran up against Chase Brown. Chase Brown held his own against this dude. An elite pass rusher who some team is going to draft in the 2nd or 3rd round, and they're going to call him an elite. They're going to say he's a steal. And Chase Brown was up there pass blocking him like he was a right tackle. It was a beautiful thing to watch. And every time you watch Chase Brown pass block, he knew who to block. There was no confusion about it. He blocked with purpose. He blocked with technique. He could hold a guy up or he could cut out his legs. I mean, it was a beautiful thing to watch. And of course, you had all the production, the rushing yard, 1,643 yards, which was fourth in the nation last year. He had 27 receptions for 240 yards and 3 receiving touchdowns. I love Chase Brown. Keep an eye out for that article coming out sometime this weekend, probably, or at least next week on stripehype.com. Spoiler alert, I love Chase Brown. So yes, I think if we could get him in the third round, like you said, that would be awesome. That would be amazing. But I agree with you. Chase Brown, he's for the Bengals. He's there for the Bengals. I don't know if the Bengals are going to see him that way, but they need to. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, for sure. And he could fall to the fourth round. You know, I've seen him in some mocks going in that range. I didn't say he can't block. He absolutely can. If we have to find a weakness, that might be something he can actually get better on. So, well, good. Well, I think we're in agreement then on Chase Brown.
Yeah. So that was I guess that was my 9.
Oh, he's your 9, huh?
Yeah. Well,
perfect.
he was higher up, but since we were talking about him.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Perfect. So number 10, Chase Brown for me. Number 9, Chase Brown for you. All right. You want to hear my number 9 then?
I do.
All right. So I'm not sure how you're going to feel about this one.
Oh God.
But he's a left tackle. He's one of these guys who might shift to guard. Probably will actually.
Oh God.
He's not a plug and play left tackle by any means, but Jordan McFadden, left tackle, Clemson, 6'2", 303, ran a 4.99 40. He is kind of a 6th-round projection right now, which is kind of why he's on my list. Like I said, just somebody that can provide depth. He's played both ends of the line at tackle. Like I said, a little bit smaller frame, but does a pretty good job with run blocking. He's a guy, he can get pushed back a little bit in the passing game, but he's somebody that does not give up on a play. He finishes his blocks. He plants his feet, has pretty good footwork, gut upper body strength. He's going to do a little bit better when the QB's in the pocket, of course, but really good leverage. And like I said, versatility on the line I really like. But he's a guy, like I said, he doesn't give up on his blocks. And actually, in some of the film I watched, he was applying multiple blocks per play kind of thing. So, again, not a plug-and-play tackle or guard in this case, but somebody I think that can provide a lot of depth. And if you can get Jordan McFadden in the 6th round, I think you have to take a shot there.
I like Jordan McFadden. I'm going to shock you here.
Do you really? That is shocking. That is shocking.
He's not on my list, but I like him because he's expected to move into guard. But seeing him play left tackle the way he did, and seeing him go up against the Georgia Tech, Keon White, who was PFF 120, watching that game, I was so impressed with that. And I was like, wow, okay, so now we're going to move him into guard. Yeah, so I like him a lot. A lot. So, yeah, I'm surprising you here. That's a good pick, yeah.
You keep stealing my thunder, by the way. We'll get to that.
Oh,
Who's your number 8?
Okay, my number 8, I'm going to go with TCU defensive end Dylan Horton. All right, so this guy, he's just everywhere. So anytime you watch TCU and you're watching their difference, because I was looking at the cornerback from TCU, and every game he flashed. Every game he was making a big run stop or a big sack when it counted and when they needed it. Every single game. He ran a 4.55 40. He had 10.5 sacks last year. And try to find all these pass rushing specialists in the draft, finding one who has 10 or more sacks in this year's draft was very difficult. Very difficult. But he was one of the few. He can play inside, he can play outside, but he's mainly a 4-3 defensive end. But he has the versatility. He came up big against Kansas State. He came up big against Kansas. He came up big in every game that we saw. At one point, he was playing against Texas. And Adam, have you ever seen a team have to triple team a defensive end?
Never.
Well, if you throw on the TCU Texas game, Texas had no answer for him, and they were like, all right, bleep it. We just got to put 3 people over there. So a tight end, a tackle, and a running back. Everybody was trying to block him, and he still got to the quarterback. It was amazing. This dude is just everywhere. And I think getting him in like the 4th round, I think he's highly underrated. I think if the Bengals got him in the 4th round, that would be a great, I don't want to say steal because I hate saying steal, but it would be an example of people taking advantage of other teams and their lack of scouting ability. And if he's still there in the 4th round, And I don't see too many defensive ends better than him actually in this draft. So if he's there in the 4th round, Dylan Orton, I mean, you gotta. I love the dude.
All right, I like it. I liked your commentary on it because I haven't watched a lot of him, so I need to check that out. But my next two are actually defensive linemen. Number 8 is Dante Stills, and he's a guy who you could probably grab in the 7th round, perhaps. But he's somebody like Horton. It kind of flashed when I was watching film. He's 6'3", 286, ran a 4.8, 540. NFL lineage. So his dad played for the Chiefs for like 10 years. His brother plays college football. But in his career, he had 23 and a half sacks, 52 and a half tackles for loss. Second team All Big 12 as a sophomore, first team All Conference the previous 2 seasons. Again, how has this guy fallen down draft board so much? I'm not seeing much weakness in his game. He could play multiple positions on that front. He's very athletic and explosive. The one thing he does need to work on is technique a little bit, with his hands. So he's somebody that can get swallowed up with blocks at times. But, if Anarumo, he kind of likes to do different techniques and different schemes there on the front, he's somebody that can kind of slip through, and he's real explosive getting to the quarterback. So if Dante Stills falls to the 7th round and he's sitting there, I think the Bengals would really like him. So somebody that could compete with the Zach Carter and some of those guys.
I love what you said, so I'm going to have to look at him this weekend. All right, Dante Stills, definitely. All right, my number, where am I? 7?
7.
All right, Adam, our guy. My guy, your guy, our guy. Tyjae Spears. Listen, man. This dude is ridiculous. And the only reason I would put Chase Brown above him right now is because of where we're going to find him in the draft. And you can hope and pray and beg that he's there in the 3rd round. I just don't see it. So if the Bengals want any shot at him, he's going to have to be there. They're going to have to take him in the 2nd round, or they're going to have to trade up into the 3rd round or something like that. If he's there in the 3rd round, oh my goodness, what a steal. This dude did everything. He played running back, he played receiver, he played wildcat quarterback. He did everything, and he did it well. And the one thing that he did the best was pass block. I loved his pass blocking. And it wasn't just like any pass blocking, like you got the defensive end coming off the edge and you take out his legs. No, he was bodying up defensive tackles and pass blocks. He has good awareness how to pick up the blitz. He knows where the guys are coming from. And the stereotype is that these guys, when you're a rookie and you're coming into the NFL, you don't know what the blitz is about and how to pick it up, and you don't know how to block and whatever. That's no problem for Tyjae Spears. Contrary to his smaller stature, he is able to pick up the biggest guys and the fastest guys. He can do it all when it comes to pass blocking. When it comes to rushing, he ran for 1,581 yards last season and 19 rushing touchdowns. And that had him 5th best in the nation for yards and 3rd best in the nation for rushing touchdowns. He was a good receiver out of the backfield. And one of the most impressive things about him was I thought he was going to run like a 4.3 or 4.4 at the combine. And he ends up running a 4.54. And I was like, well, what is this? Something's wrong. Is he sick? Is he hurt or something like that? Because he just looks so fast on the field, on tape. And he's just explosive, and he accelerates quicker than electric fly. I got that from an American sports announcer in French, who announces in French is a thing. But anyway, so yeah, he's everything. He is everything that the Bengals need from the running back position. He can come in, he can pass block, he can receive, he can rush the ball. He's not a real threat to Joe Mixon in that regard, but he could, if he needed to carry the load, he could carry some of the load for Joe Mixon as well. And also, he was such a good blocker that they would run draw plays with the quarterbacks, and he would be the lead blocker. Or other times, they would run like sweeps with the wide receiver, and he would be the lead blocker for those. And they did it a ton, and he was good every time. So yeah, Tyjae Spears. 2nd round, I mean, if you got to get a running back in the 2nd round, it's going to be Tyjae Spears. I would hope he would be there in the 3rd round, but I doubt it. So we might have to get him in the second round.
I think you can get him in the third. I hope you can get him in the third.
ESPN has him 66 overall. So
okay. I've seen different. Yeah, I mean, I've seen different projections, but you know me, I love Tyjae Spears. You are speaking my language, brother. I have nothing to add to what you said. He's my number 2 on this list. Very early on in the draft process, or in what we're doing here, our scouting process, he was the guy that jumped out at me. It's like, I've got to have Tyjae Spears. He's the guy I'm, pinning all of my my confidence on. He is just, you're right. I mean, at Tulane, he was the guy. And basically it was, the ball's going to Tyjae Spears, try to stop him. Here's what we're doing, try to stop him. What happened? They couldn't stop him. He's not a burner, like you said. He's very slippery. He's going to break tackles. He has a this proverbial nose for the end zone type of thing. I mean, to score 19 touchdowns is doing something, right? We're both UC fans, and UC plays Tulane every year.
Oh my God!
Right?
Oh my God!
I wasn't watching the game, but I was listening to the game that they played Tulane, and it was like every single play, Tyjae Spears breaks one. It's like, goodness, we cannot stop this guy, So I absolutely love your take on Tyjae Spears, Conference Player of the Year, Cotton Bowl MVP. I think it was a Cotton Bowl, wasn't it? Where they beat USC. Yeah, it was a Cotton Bowl MVP. Please, please, please get Tyjae Spears if you're the Bengals, because Joe Mixon won't be on the Bengals next year. We need Tyjae Spears. So I love it.
I'm not sure what's going to happen with Joe Mixon, but that's a subject for another day, I guess. But,
well, let really quick. Let's hear what you think. Will Joe Mixon be a bank? I don't think he will. I think by June 1st you can cut him, and there's so much dead cap space that you're going to save. We know about everything going on in the courtroom, although who knows if he's guilty or innocent and all that. He's a lot older now. By saving all that money, that means extensions down the road. My thought is, if I'm the Bengals, I would move on from Joe Mixon as much as he's given to the team. What say you?
I don't want to be one of those fans who says, because they're all out there, 90% of the fan base actually. I love these players. Let's get rid of these players. I love Joe Mixon. I love what he brings, except for his pass blocking ability, his running, his catching out of the backfield. Absolutely love it. The players seem to love him as well. So that counts for something, right? The whole culture of the locker room. That's why everybody loves Zach Taylor. It's not because he's the best coach, it's because of the culture he built. So I think Joe Mixon is a part of that. I did see something where they said they were going to ask him to take a pay cut, and if he refused, then they might move off from him this year. I'm not sure how valid that is. I guess it probably is, since it's out there in the official capacity. But if he does take a pay cut, then he's going to be a Bengal, at least for this year and maybe into the future, depending on what the next contract looks like. But if he doesn't, then the Bengals better, if this is a legitimate threat, the Bengals better have a plan, and they better know that one of these guys in the draft that they're looking at is going to be available, or they need to swing a trade for one of these malcontents in another market, like, I don't know, Los Angeles, just throwing it out there. If there's a certain Chargers running back who wants to be traded and wants to start over new, but at the same time, you're going to have to pay him basically what you're paying Joe Mixon, because all of these running backs who aren't happy with their contracts want more money, and we're trying to save money with Joe Mixon. So it wouldn't make much sense that way. So they must be eyeing someone in the draft who they like and who they think is going to be there. But as far as, I don't pay much attention to the off the field stuff, because I'll let the courtroom handle that. I'll wait for all the facts to come to me, and then I will comment on that. But there's no point in me commenting on that right now. I think both of the running backs I talked about, they can both be used with Joe Mixon and not instead of Joe Mixon. At the same time, they could also be used instead of Joe Mixon.
All right. You ready for my number 7?
I am.
You've already mentioned his name. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sorry, my bad.
No, I'm kidding. It's funny because I have NFL Network on my TV, and this guy I'm getting ready to talk about is on the screen being interviewed. Like, This is like serendipity, you know?
Serendipity, yes.
It's very serendipitous. Keon White, edge rusher, Georgia Tech, 6'5", 285, third, fourth round projection.
Don't cheat by
Um,
looking at the TV.
what's that? No, I'm not. I have my notes, of
Yeah.
course, my copious notes here. He's actually a former tight end where he played that position at Old Dominion. They saw his potential on the defensive line. The next season, he tied a school record with 19 tackles for loss, so that worked out pretty good. So then he transferred to Georgia Tech. Last year, he was third team All ACC. He had 14 tackles for loss, 7.5 sacks. What I like most about Keon White, of course, he's a little bit newer to the position, is that he is an unfinished product. So much potential and so much upside for this guy. His athleticism just jumps off the page or jumps off the tape. His ability to get to the quarterback, his ability to track down a ball carrier. If you just watch him and you kind of see him again tracking down the football and making plays, I mean, you'll really, really like what you see in this guy. So again, third, fourth round, I think would be a perfect spot to grab a guy like Keon White. Again, love his athleticism, somebody that can complement what they already have there. He's my he was one of those guys early on that really jumped out at me. So he's my number 7.
This must be your best case scenario draft. Like best case scenario, Tyjae Spears will be there in the third round.
Mm-hmm.
Best case scenario, Keon White will be there in the third round. Best case scenario, the Bengals will have to choose between those two players.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because Draft Buzz has him at 59.6. So I know the Bengals are PFF has him at 90 and the Bengals are picking at 92.
Mm-hmm.
But the Draft Buzz has the overall mock draft grades and whatnot, and they have them going at 60.
Well, I mean, and you can take all that with a grain of salt. I mean,
True.
Everyone's going to have different projections and ranks and all these things. Let's face it, there are hundreds and hundreds of prospects out there. So that's why I think with White, he could be a third. I mean, he could slip into the fourth. He could. So yeah, I mean, I am kind of looking at best case scenario. If Tyjae Spears isn't there in the third and Keon White's sitting there, grab him.
So we talked about McFadden earlier, and I talked about the job that he did against Keon White.
Mm-hmm.
Except Keon White switched sides. And Keon White gave that Clemson right tackle the business. Adam, there was no stopping Keon White. Adam, I'm not sure. I don't even know who that right tackle was. I think he was like a freshman or something. That poor dude. I'm not sure he's ever recovered from the beating that Keon White put on him in that game against Georgia Tech. If you guys want to see something, if you want to see the contrast between a very good tackle in McFadden and a not so good new young tackle, whoever that guy was, in playing right tackle for Clemson, go watch Clemson versus Georgia Tech, because Keon White put on a clinic.
Well, and like I said, when you're watching Georgia Tech and they're, there's always if you see a dominant guy in the field, you're always wondering, who's that guy? Next play. Who's that guy? Next play. Yeah. Who's that guy? It's the same guy, Keon White. I mean, he's a freak athlete. And like I said, he's just getting started, he's new to the position. So tons and tons of upside for Keon White.
I gave him a nickname. I hope the Bengals draft him, and I hope this nickname sticks.
All right, what's that?
Stank face. Because every time I watched him, I was just like, ooh, ooh. Every time. Adam, that dude is ridiculous. And he didn't even make my top 10. But I agree. He can play defensive end, defensive tackle. And when you watch him, you just like, ooh, give me that stank face. Oh, God, stop. Oh, make it stop. Oh, I feel so bad for that right tackle. I'm so happy I don't know his name, because I'm so happy he's a freshman. Oh, my God. That was, wow. So, yeah, I agree with you totally. Keon White. But McFadden,
I'm excited about him, whoever ends up with him.
Yeah, McFadden did a good job against him, actually.
Yeah.
So, but when he switched sides, oh my God! And then when he moved into defensive tackle too, he gave him some problems. So yeah.
Yep.
I love that pick. Yeah.
Sweet. Number 6, I guess, right?
Number 6. All right. I will go. I'm gonna keep it in the running back family. Now, this guy was the last addition to this list, number 10 list. Keaton Mitchell, ECU. Now this dude, he ran a 4.37. He flies. He is like this speedster. He has super quick cuts. He's fast. He's shifty. 4.37. He's on the smaller side, so he's 5'8", 179 pounds. So when I think about him pass blocking against like a Myles Garrett, I hope it doesn't come to that. What I wrote down, he is a willing pass blocker. When he had to pass block against defensive linemen, he did it. He got the job done. Now, he's not as good as a pass blocker, I don't think, as the other two guys I mentioned, but he threw his nose in there. He got the job done, and that's all we need from a running back. On the running side, he's super fast. He can return kicks. Yeah, I think he's a perfect fit for what the Bengals need out of the running back position. Right now, JARVHITZ has him going at 163. And that is exactly where the Bengals pick in the 5th round. PFF has him at 144, and Mock Draft Database has him at 164. So if he's there in the 5th round, I think that's somebody who the Bengals should absolutely look at. Keaton Mitchell, ECU.
It's funny you mentioned that, and I was looking at a mock draft earlier that I don't know, one of the Bengals blogs or something. They did a mock draft and they took Chase Brown and Keaton Mitchell in back-to-back rounds.
Really?
And it's interesting because they both have they have different skill sets as a running back, and I think they could really complement each other well. So yeah, that's kind of interesting. You gotta love Mitchell's explosiveness for sure. So,
do you remember which rounds that? Because I didn't.
I'm sorry.
Which round? Yeah.
I want to say 4th and 5th, maybe.
Okay.
Sounds about right. So, but yeah, I like it. My number 6. I don't know how you're gonna feel about this one because once I say his name, you're gonna be like, oh, of course you like him. Cody Mock, offensive tackle / guard, North Dakota State, 6'5", 302.
Can we be done with this?
I told you weren't gonna like it. I like Cody Mock. I liked him from day one because he does give you athleticism. He gives you flexibility on the line. He can actually play every position. Probably will play guard in the NFL, most likely. He has shorter arms, of course, but really good hands. He's kind of a mauler and a finisher. Good run blocking. He's just one of those maulers that I like. And he's from North Dakota State. I like these guys like Dylan Radins and Cordell Volson. And so, yeah, Cody Mock. Now go ahead and poke holes in it.
I will not. Because you know what? I watched him during the season, and I moved on from him so quickly that I don't even remember I just remember not liking him. And I remember Bengals fans falling in love with him. And I remember some even mentioning him as a 1st round pick. I saw it.
Yeah, this would have to be a 2nd round pick if they were going to get Cody Mock. I would not take him in the 1st round.
And then I saw something, and this is probably less his fault and more what I see on Bengals Twitter and Facebook and whatnot. Bengals fans saying, oh, well, he played at North Dakota State, so he can play next to Cordell Volson, and that would be awesome. No, he would take Volson's job.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this isn't we played on the same college team, so we're gonna play next to each other. No. There's no way you want Mock out there. Well, anyway, I'll let you have that one. I can't even say anything because I moved on from him so fast. I don't even have game logs or anything I can refer to. So yeah.
All right, I'll take it. I'll take him.
Yeah, you get the win.
All right.
Dang it! I should have been prepared for Cody Mock.
Number 5.
I'm so mad at myself right now. All right, number 5. Oh, we're getting into the good stuff now. All right, this guy's probably my number. I don't want to say he's my number 1. He's probably the most underrated person in this whole entire draft, and we've already talked about him. My last article, stripehype.com, I wrote an article about one guy at the top of the draft and another guy at the end of the draft. And this is the guy at the end of the draft, Braden Willis, tight end, Oklahoma. I still have no idea what people are doing. He's probably going to be playing in the USFL in like 2 years or something, because He is being so disrespected right now. I just can't believe it. Draft Buzz has him 279. PFF has him at 295 now, and Mock Draft Database has him at 260, which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is Mr. Irrelevant. Either way, he's going to be. I got the Bengals drafting him in the 6th round, and everybody else has him being undrafted. I love his blocking. I love his pass blocking. I love his run blocking. I love his catch. Today, I saw something where PFF put out a this player does this the best list. And they went position by position. So they had the best offensive lineman who pass blocks the best, who pulls the best, who runs, etc. And when they got to the tight ends, they had, I don't know, this is the dumbest. It's stupid. It's completely dumb. But they talked about Braden Willis, so I liked it. They said Braden Willis runs the best slant route out of all the tight ends in this year's draft.
Interesting.
I have no idea what that means. All I know is Braden Willis is the best at something in this draft, according to PFF. If that translates, I don't know what that means, but I liked it. He is an underrated receiver. He's just turn on the tape, throw on your Braden Willis highlights on YouTube or whatever, and you will see it. It will jump out. He's dragging people just down the field. I don't get it with him. I love him. He's my second favorite tight end in the draft just because you can get him so late, and he does a lot of things that this other guy I'm going to mention a little bit later does, and they do it exceptionally well, and they do it better than all of the other tight ends in this draft class. There's only 2 who do run block and pass block at the clip that the Cincinnati Bengals need them to do it. And Braden Willis is one of those guys. And I hope the Cincinnati Bengals read what I write or listen to what we're saying, because Braden Willis is an absolute steal at this point.
Yeah, I know you talking about that on our last show. I went back and kind of watched some of him, and I can't disagree. Why he's being looked at so late in the draft, if not being undrafted, is kind of curious. So,
dude,
I like it.
He played half the game as a Wildcat quarterback against Texas.
No, I did not see that.
He played I guess they were down to their backup quarterback, and the backup quarterback was doing backup quarterback things. And he came in, and they put him in at quarterback for damn near half the game. And he was he didn't throw the ball, obviously, but it was a lot of misdirections, a lot of, run pass options, but there was no pass involved. And he played quarterback. So he's lining up in the backfield. He lines up as a wing. He lines up as a tight end receiver, and now he's playing quarterback. And the NFL scouting community is like, yeah, well, I guess he's not versatile enough.
Right.
I don't get it. Sometimes I don't get it, but it's just me. I saw the guy. I fell in love with him, Braden Willis. I hope he's in stripes next season.
I hope he is too. For you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's what friends are for.
You bet. All right, number 5, another corner. Cam Smith, South Carolina, 6'1", 180, 4.440, second round grade. More than likely, probably be a second round pick if the Bengals take him. He missed a little time last year because of concussion. He missed the bowl game, but man, I love what I'm seeing on tape with Cam Smith. Of course, he is a little bit bigger. He's going to be a little bit bigger corner at 6'1". He plays pretty physical. A couple things. I mean, his technique needs a little work. He can be grabby at times. So, you might see a flag thrown his way on occasions. That's something he'll need to clean up a little bit. But man, as far as spotting the ball and going to get the football, he's about as good as it gets as far as that's concerned. So just one of those ball hawks and somebody that's going to have, I believe, a pretty long and successful NFL career. So Cam Smith out of South Carolina. Let's go get him in the second round.
Quarterback rating when targeted 61. So that's something I look at, and I love that about him. Jeez, his athletic score is off the chains. Okay, I'm going to take your word for it, because when I looked at him, I was like, okay, I like him, but I don't love him. And I moved on from him. And now, because you're talking about cornerbacks, and that is something that when you talk about cornerbacks, people need to listen, and they need to pay attention, and I'm listening and I'm paying attention, I will go do my Cam Smith homework this weekend. I promise you.
And again, he missed a lot of time, so he's somebody that I think is going to have, he's going to have better production at the NFL level, maybe than he did in college, just because of some inconsistency with being on the field and that sort of thing. So, but I'm like you, yeah, I kind of thought the same thing, missing a little bit here and there, but when he is playing, whew, yeah, he's tough. He's really tough. So.
I love that line. He's going to have a better pro career than in college. I love that.
There you go.
All right.
Who's your number 4?
Cam Smith. Okay, my number 4. Well, we'll just keep it in the family. Defensive back. I'm going to go with DJ Turner, Michigan. All right, another Wolverine cornerback, defensive back, 4.26 40. And what I know about speed is when you run fast, you have a lot of confidence in yourself. I promise it's true. Did I tell you my, all right, can I digress here a little bit?
You can digress, yeah.
All right, this reminds me of a story. It's one of the most embarrassing stories ever. All right, so I don't know if you remember. I'm going to say his name. I hope shout out Dante Sweat. You remember Dante Sweat?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so the new coaching staff comes in, and I'm like, all right, I got to impress the new coaching staff. And so we get out there, and I was like, all right, the conditioning test was 40s. So we had to run 40s, but you had to run the 40s within a certain time. And so I was like, well, I need to impress the new coaching staff. So I need to run fast. I need to be fast because I'm fast. I'm the fast guy. And I get out there and I ran a 4.340. Dante ran a 4.340. So it's me and Dante Sweat. Shout out Dante. I was proud of myself. I did not know what was about to happen next. The coaches put me and Dante, and we had by ourselves, us two, in front of the whole bleeping team. Just Dante and I, because we had the 2 fastest 40 times, mm-hmm. and we had to do the conditioning test ourselves. Oh my God. Oh my God. So I went from being really confident to really embarrassed because I failed the conditioning test. Then I had to be at the track at like 5 o'clock in the morning for like 2 weeks or something. It was awful.
So you actually kind of got dinged for running a fast 40 time.
Well, I did. Well, not really, because I was still one of the fast guys, but at the same time, I failed the conditioning test.
What position did he play? Just off record, but I mean,
defensive back and punt returner.
Okay, yeah, because I remember his name for sure. I couldn't remember what position he played, but
yeah, DB and punt returner. Yeah, so when I see this 4.26, I didn't run anything close to that. But that reminds me, you run fast, you have a lot of confidence. So DJ Turner, Michigan, 4.26 40, looks fast on film, capable tackler. However, there was something I didn't like. I watched him play against Penn State and he got beat deep. So when you run a 4.26, mm-hmm. you're not expecting to watch a game and see somebody with that type of speed get beat deep. So I didn't like that very much. But the other games I saw him play, the rest of that game in Iowa, he dropped 2 interceptions that I saw. So he needs to shore that up a little bit in the NFL. He's there. If we draft him, he's going to make plays on the ball. Hopefully he'll be able to hold on to the ball. PFF has him at 67. My draft database has him 61st. 62.1 passer rating when targeted. So that's pretty good. I like that. I think the Bengals have kind of backed themselves into a predicament here where they have to hope their corner is healthy coming out the ACL. But if he's not, because we're all rainbows and sunshine right now in April, but in August, and he's still not out there for preseason games or something like that, then you're going to start to get worried. And if we don't attack the cornerback position early, it might be a problem. So that's why I have DJ Turner from Michigan right here.
Number 4 for me, Darnell Washington. I don't need to belabor the point that I made last time with him.
Belabor it. It needs to be heard.
Okay. Well, again, blocking tight end, receiving tight end, freak athlete. He's been called the 6th offensive lineman on some teams. And again, not a ton of college production. So he's somebody that, again, you haven't seen as much on film, but he's somebody who's going to completely dominate at the next level, in my opinion. If the Bengals were able to grab him, I think I said last time I would take him in the first round. I've seen him falling out of the first round in some of these mock drafts. So I don't know if he'll make it to the Bengals at 2, but gosh, I mean, I just love his talent. I love the options and the possibilities that you have, if you're an offensive coordinator with Darnell Washington. So again, 6'7", 264. He was a top 25 recruit coming out of high school. So I would love to see him in black and orange.
All right, so you just hit my number one prospect on any of my lists. Darnell Washington.
Yeah, I knew you liked him.
I don't like him. I love him. And people talk about, all right, so when we talk about Michael Mayer and Kincaid, first of all, Dalton Kincaid is a better prospect than Michael Mayer. So I would really wish people anyway, but Darnell Washington is so good. And if he had as many targets as those other two dudes had, he would be just as explosive. Adam, let's talk about narratives. If I told you there's a guy, any guy, player B, and player B is bigger, stronger, faster than player A. Player B played in the SEC and player A played in the Big Ten or Pac-12 or something like that. Player B had more yards per reception than player A. If I put all those things into a blender, most of the time you're going to go with player B. All those narratives, SEC, tougher competition, bigger, stronger, faster, blah, blah, blah. And people keep choosing player A. I don't know why. I have no idea why. But player B is clearly a better choice for the Bengals, and player B is Darnell Washington. And if he's there at 1, it's not his fault he's a blocking tight end. The Bengals need a blocking tight end. They don't need somebody who can run block. They need somebody who can pass block. At the whole point of this experiment with Joe Burrow is to keep him upright. They need people who can keep him upright. If Zach Taylor is going to continue to pass block with tight ends, they need tight ends who can pass block. And if we had drafted Jake Ferguson, shut up. If we had drafted Jake Ferguson last year, we would not be needing to have this conversation. This is why it's important to hit on these 3rd and 4th and 5th round prospects. How come I can sit here and I can do it, but they can't? How come Dallas is sitting there pretty with Jake Ferguson? And I'm like, hey, maybe we should trade our 1st round pick for Jake Ferguson. This is stupid, Adam. We shouldn't be talking about this because Jake Ferguson should be a Cincinnati Bengal. And because he's not, then now Darnell Washington is going to have to be a Cincinnati Bengal. So yes, I agree with you. I love Darnell Washington. PFF has him 66, but that is the late 68, but that is the latest. Mock Draft Database has him going 30th. Draft Buzz has him at 38, and I'm not sure where ESPN has him because I didn't write it down. But yeah, Darnell Washington.
Agree. And I have good news for you. Insert sarcasm. Since the Bengals are so good at drafting tight ends, Drew Sample, their former 2nd round pick, has been re-signed. So let us all hope is restored in the tight end room.
And he didn't get re-signed until like 2 days after we published that video. And
right.
All of a sudden, I'm like, nobody's talking about him, and all of a sudden, boom, he got a visit to Seattle, and then he re-signed with the Bengals. It's like, yeah.
All right, let's hear the next one.
Oh, it's me again?
Yeah, I just did Darnell Washington.
Okay. So did I. So that was my Darnell.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, all right. So then I'll go next. And you know how much I like my my corners, right? Here is my number 1 corner as far as, round. And this guy, if they pick him, will be a 2nd round pick. He's 5'9", 184, ran a 4.5 40 out of Utah, Clark Phillips III. All right. You remember last year how in love with Marcus Jones we were.
I do.
He is my Marcus Jones for 2023. Yeah. Well, and the only reason is because if you look at their size, look at their speed, their playmaking abilities and whatnot, those kind of things. I mean, they're not exact replicas of each other, but those types of things are very reminiscent. But when you watch Clark Phillips, it's crazy because if you're watching a Utah game, you're going to see him line up on one side of the field, and then you might see him line up on the other side of the field, and then you might see him line up at nickel. He can play anywhere in the secondary. and holy smokes, does he do it well. His ability to read the quarterback and to know where the ball is going is unbelievable. So just his instincts, his awareness, his ability to make plays, to kind of slip through, like a dump off pass or something like that, and to be able to stop the play early on. Just again, his instincts. He's a lockdown corner. Of course, he plays in the Pac-12, excuse me. So he's faced guys like Jordan Addison and some of these better receivers in the Pac-12. But man, he's my corner. And if he's there in the second, if the Bengals do not address the corner position, I actually like him a little bit better than I do Cam Smith. So if he's there, I would definitely take him. I'm really excited about Clark Phillips III.
You heard it here first, Bengals fans. The Cincinnati Bengals will select Clark Phillips III in the second round. Why?
I hope you're right.
I don't know why, because Adams seems to be, he seems to be right on the money every time this type of things happens. Okay, Clark Phillips III. Wow, I was not expecting that. I thought he kind of fell, and for me, in the Tre'Vius Hodges Tomlinson thing, where he's a little bit slight, but he doesn't look as small as Hodges Tomlinson when he plays. So
his size to me is not a huge handicap for Phillips. He plays a little bit bigger than his metrics might read. He is physical. He's gonna make tackles. Good hands. I'm in love with Clark Phillips III. I love this guy.
Wow. Okay, so I will go back and I will look at him and Cam Smith both this weekend when I have a chance. All right, I'm excited to watch them closely.
I mean, this guy, he's gonna be right in your back pocket if you're a receiver. Good luck getting separation with him. So I didn't watch every play, of course, but what I did see, he's somebody I really, really like.
Jesus, yeah. Because I wrote down he had a lot of interceptions. He had 6 interceptions last year.
Mm-hmm. And again, from different positions. I mean, from nickel, from outside. He's dependable anywhere you put him.
Okay, so yeah, I'm going to definitely have to go back and look at him again. Okay, I trust you now. I'm just going to be honest. I trust you with the cornerback evaluation more than I trust myself. So if you're watching this, take Adams. When it comes to cornerbacks, take Adams' word over Daniel Jeremiah's. You will not.
Right, okay.
Tell me I'm wrong.
Well, I mean, the results speak for themselves, right?
Tell me I am not wrong. All right. Adam, these people are still talking about Liam Eichenberg. No, I'm going to say that. All right. So, speaking of cornerbacks, my number 9, I guess, or number 2 would be Emmanuel Forbes. So right. The 6 interceptions, 14 career interceptions, 6 interceptions last year, 3 for touchdowns last year, 6 interceptions for touchdowns during his whole career. I mean, he reminds me, and I think this is why I like him so much. He reminds me of Sauce Gardner. Problem is, I don't see him as being much of I usually like my cornerbacks to be good tacklers. He gets the job done. He had 46 total tackles last year. He can tackle, but I usually like my corners a little bit more stout and physical than that. But yeah, I kind of fell in love with the 4.3 speed, with the length, 6'1", long, lanky, with the interception numbers, ball hawk, all that type of stuff. Actually, when I looked at him, a few of those interceptions, there was one that pretty much bounced off the ground into his hands. There were a lot of those right place, right time interceptions. Mm-hmm. And I think there might have been just as many as those as there were him breaking on a ball and making an incredible play. So that might be a bit inflated, but the fact that he's always around the ball, the fact that he can get 14 career interceptions is just crazy. The Bengals don't intercept a lot of passes these days. Not since Delta O'Neal. So I can't. So yeah, I think if the Bengals can come away with a ball hog who can get the ball back into Joe Burrow's hands, that's always a good thing. I like the novelty of it, I guess you could say, as much as I like the football side of it. And I just hope if the Bengals do take him, that he turns into a Sauce Gardner type, because that's who I'm thinking of, and that's who I would want.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, that's 61.9 passer rating when targeted, which is good. It's not Sauce Gardner 25 good, but it's pretty decent. So yeah, Emmanuel Forbes, my number 2.
Yeah,
My number 3.
I have no problem with that at all. He's not somebody that was high on my list. And I mean, he's a top 4 or 5 cornerback prospect in this draft. The reason I didn't put a whole lot of time into him is because I don't think the Bengals are going to take him. He's probably going to go early in the second round, so he's not going to get to where the Bengals would possibly take him in the second. So that's the only reason I didn't give. And I mean, to be honest, Clark Phillips III might not either. I hope he slides a little bit and gets there, but as far as Forbes, I mean, I can't poke any holes into that into that take. So
I'll take it.
All right, cool. So my number 2, we've already talked about him, Ty J. Spears. I'd love to see him and Clark Phillips. Well, all these guys, I like all these guys, but those 2 are probably my favorite. Darnell Washington. So yeah, I don't think we need to say any more on Ty J. Spears, but he's my number 2.
Well, if you have more to say, go ahead, because
his of course, he kind of went out with a bang in the Cotton Bowl. Like I mentioned earlier, he was the Cotton Bowl MVP. 17 carries, 205 yards, which is 12.1 yards a carry. He had 4. Is that right? He had 4 rushing touchdowns in that effort in the Cotton Bowl. So that was pretty impressive to me. And that's against a USC team who was pretty darn good too. So isn't that who they played? Yeah, USC. Yeah. So anyway,
I
love him.
he does the dirty work on like the short yardage too. So he's not just a home run hitter. He does literally everything, literally everything for that team. So
Right.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite players, but we already talked about that.
Yep.
So I will go, I guess, to my final player. All right. So
let me say this.
Okay.
I think we have the same guy. I'm going to make the prediction we have the same guy.
I don't think we do.
Okay.
I could be wrong, because I'm going offensive lineman.
Okay. We're okay. I think we have the same guy.
I'm going left tackle.
Okay. No. Oh, I know who you're going, but okay.
You thought so I know who you're.
You know who I'm going with. I know who you're going with. All right, go for it. Let me announce the pick, and then you can announce my pick.
All right. Oh well, hold on.
If I'm wrong, If I'm wrong, though, no, just go ahead. Who is it?
No, announce my pick.
Anton Harrison.
Yeah. Can I try to announce your pick right now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Darnell, right.
Boom.
Yeah.
All right. Let's hear about Anton Harrison.
All right. So, Anton, dude, it was so hard to find tackles who I just love, because you know me. You give me Zach Tom. I'm usually fall in love with somebody. I fell in love with Anton Harrison early, and then I just kind of, I dipped into infatuation, then back to love. Then, so all of these guys was just really hard to get a hold of. Like I'm watching him against Kansas State, and he got beat for a sack, and I'm like, oh man. But then who he got beat by a sack by was not the first round pick, Felix and Duke Uzama. And I'm like, all right, so he did a great job against this guy, and this other guy comes in and he gets a sack, and it's like, all right, so he's up and down there. And then I'm watching him play, I forget who he's playing, and he gets hit with a spin move, and he just locks the dude out. And I'm like, oh, that is so awesome. And then I'm watching him against Iowa State, and he gets hit with a spin move twice in that game. And I was like, oh no, there's Jonah Williams. Oh no. No. You can't have this. What are you doing? And so I'm like up and down with him. And you know me, I don't like switching left tackles to right tackle if they haven't done it. He did it some this year, 53 snaps at right tackle this year. But that was it. The rest of the time he's at left tackle. So I'm kind of projecting, which is something I hate to do, but I know I wanted to put an offensive lineman in here. But sometimes he just looks so good, so overpowering. He's holding guys with one arm, and you've seen a lot of these guys now where they're turning their body and they're using their arm length to hold the guys off. That's like a new thing this year because they weren't doing this last year. Mm-hmm. And all the teams seem to have caught on to it. And he's just so, and I love he makes it look so easy. Like he's just out there. He's like drinking wine and charcuterie and stuff. And he's just like, it's so easy for him. And I think it's so easy for him sometimes that he just kind of forgets, oh yeah, there's somebody across from me. I probably need to try a little bit harder. So I'm hoping that's it. I'm hoping that he's just so bored out there that sometimes he just kind of loses sight of the goal and what he's there to do, because it's just so easy for him sometimes. Like at some points it was like he was too good, because on RPOs he would push this guy so far down the field so fast that he got called for numerous illegal man down the field penalties. Mm-hmm. But he's like, well, what am I supposed to do? So I just sit here, I'll fold my arms, I'll go like this, and I'll stop the dude. But yeah, I hope if the Bengals are thinking about taking him and moving him to right tackle, I hope it works out for him and for the Bengals. He is my number 2 overall, behind Darnell Washington as far as players I want the Bengals to target in the first round, because I do think they're going to need an offensive lineman. I do think there's a strong risk that they might move on for Jonah Williams if they can during or after the draft. So I didn't fall in love with any of these guys. There were 2 I was going back and forth between, my guy and your guy. Mm-hmm. So
and I think,
go ahead.
Anton Harrison. Yeah. I think the thing too, and we've had this discussion before, I think off record, but defensive ends greater than sign offensive tackles. These guys anymore, I mean, they're running 4.4s. They're built like, they're crazy build. Athleticism is off the charts, and you've got these offensive linemen who are very athletic themselves. These guys are coming full speed forward. These guys are going backward. I mean, that's a tough task, Right. The way that some of these guys are built anymore, like Myles Garrett and TJ Watt and a lot of these guys, there's just not a perfect. It's going to be hard to find a perfect tape on any offensive lineman. So I think that's part of the challenge, and we want to see somebody who's going to make every block and not allow a sack and not allow a pressure and these types of things. But that is getting harder and harder and harder and harder to find anymore when we're doing the scouting. So that's one thing for me that's jumped out. But yeah, I like it. Yeah, again, he was a guy I didn't really pay too much attention to, because I kind of thought he was sort of a tweener between when the Bengals pick and the first pick and second pick, and I didn't know if they'd target him in the first round, but I don't have a problem with that pick at all. So Darnell Wright is the guy, as we mentioned, and he's the guy that I want the Bengals to take in the first round of anybody. Okay. And I'm making this pick with the thought that Jonah Williams will not be there. They do have more depth at right tackle than they have in years past. We can kind of speculate on what's going to happen with La'el Collins, if he'll be healthy enough, to see some meaningful time in next year. But Darnell Wright is just somebody who I think is just really, really solid. He's played left tackle, he's played right tackle. He's 6'5", 333, so he's a big guy. He ran a 5 flat or 5.01 40. Top 10 overall recruit back in 2019. He's mean and physical and all the things you like in an offensive lineman. But one thing that kind of impressed me with him that maybe I don't see in a lot of other offensive linemen is his patience. So he's not a guy that's going to kind of initiate contact at the point of attack. He's not going to come out and he's not real punchy, but he's somebody that shows patience, and he's going to kind of wait to see what
his to do.
He's more of a catcher than a puncher, so to speak. So that's one thing I really like about him, and I think that's something that could really benefit him at the next level. I do see him as a right tackle. I don't know that the Bengals would play him at left tackle. Obviously, given that Orlando Brown is there, but he's somebody I think will come in if they draft him in the first round. He's somebody that I think will come in day one and most likely be your starting right tackle. So that's why I would like to see Darnell Wright go in the first round.
I watched him against Kentucky, and he was just outstanding. Like Kentucky had nothing for him. PFF, I noticed. I'm not sure if they changed it or not, but PFF said he gave up 0 sacks.
I read that too. Yeah.
But when I watched him, I gave him 2 sacks. So maybe they're just judging sacks as something different than I am, but I'm not sure about that. But yeah, I hesitated between those two. And a large part of that is because he's a right tackle.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate projecting. We've had this conversation a million times. Mm-hmm. So yeah, Darnell Wright, I love it. There are some, when I watched him against Florida, I was like, ooh. But then I watched those Florida defensive end guys and linebackers, and I was like, ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Like if we did a top 5 defensive end, I would probably be talking about one of the guys from Florida, or Cox, the linebacker from Florida. So yeah, they gave everybody issues. So yeah. And he held his own against Alabama. He needs to work on passing off stunts and twists better with the guard, but that's something that you can work on. Just needs timing. And I went back and forth, Darnell Wright or Anton Harrison, and I fell on Anton Harrison. So yeah.
All right. Well, it's interesting that we both like a tackle as the number 1 for the Bengals. So
I think you say it's interesting. I think it's sad. No,
I don't think it's sad.
No, he's not my number 1. I think he's my number 2 behind Darnell Washington.
Darnell Washington, yeah.
But that itself is sad as well. Like, how many years are we going to be talking about fixing the offensive line?
Well, you're right, and it is something that's been tough. And last year, right when they were starting to kind of gel as a unit, then injuries happened and everybody got hurt, and there we were again. So having depth is I think it's going to be pretty critical.
I agree, but we re-signed. Oh, what's the dude's name?
Max Sharping.
Yes, Max. We just
your favorite,
Max Sharping. And I responded. What happened to self-scouting?
Right.
Like, yeah. To be fair to me, I went back and I watched him play with the Texans when the Bengals picked him up, and I'm like, you don't want this guy playing.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So I mean, and then what happened in the playoffs. So the perfect time for it to happen. So yeah, I'm not a Max Sharping fan.
No.
But
again, gives you depth.
No, but it doesn't.
He may not make the team, to be fair. So we'll see what happens in the draft, and I'm looking forward to June too, when some of these cap casualties happen, and we could see some guys come in that can really bolster every position group for that matter. But so anyway, but another thing I wanted to do you have anything else to say about that first, and then I want to move on to something else?
No, go ahead.
We also talked about who are a couple guys who you feel are receiving too much hype in this draft process.
Oh, well,
couple of overhypes.
Can I incorporate something?
Because
I've been wanting to start a new segment sponsored by, I don't know, Cubanese. So if you're a sponsor out there and you want to help us out here at Who Dey Lounge, and you want to sponsor us, here's your first opportunity. A new segment called AFC North College Football Hill I'm Willing to Die On. Sponsored by whoever you like, Ford, Ferrari, Budweiser, anything. Help us out. All right. AFC North, Cincinnati Bengals, Cleveland Browns, Baltimore Ravens, and another team that we will not mention their names. North College Hill is my alma mater in Cincinnati, Ohio, my high school alma mater. College football, a take about college football. So it can be one thing, it can be a couple of things. And we are going to give our AFC North College Football Hill that we are willing to die on right now. So Adam, what hill are you willing to die on and say this guy is just not good.
This guy, okay. So instead of me framing it as being overhyped, we're gonna say hill I'm gonna die on. I like it.
Yeah.
All right, here's the guy that I'm willing to die on, and it's DeJuan Jones, right tackle, Ohio State.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mind blown. Okay.
Why do you say that?
Because of all the hype that's around.
Exactly. That's the point. I think the hype is just because of his metrics and his wingspan and all these different things that no other right tackle has ever had. But if you watch him, he's, to me, I don't think he's gonna have a real successful NFL career. I think he'll probably be a starting right tackle. I don't think it's gonna go real well. He's a little bit too clunky to me. Yeah, he has long arms and whatnot, but I think some of your elite pass rushers are going to have no problem getting around him, So that's the hill I'm going to die on. Now, he may go on and have a Pro Bowl career and be in the Hall of Fame, but when I've seen DeJuan Jones is the guy that he's receiving way too much hype.
I am not going to go that far with DeJuan Jones. He's one guy where he has the long arms, and you can see him using the long arms, because a lot of times you talk about short arms, long arms, and it doesn't really come through with the way they play. But with him, it does. So with the spin moves or whatever, even if he's beat, he just does that, and he can hold off a nice spin move. So I love that about him. And what you said is 100% correct, because he was in like my top 5 or 6 players I wanted in the first round, and he came off that list fast, quickly. I'm not going to say I'm willing to die on that hill. However, I absolutely understand why you don't want the Cincinnati Bengals to draft him. I can see that. Like in 2 weeks from now, we're going to be talking about what happened during the draft. It's going to be DeJuan Jones.
Oh God, I hope not. I sure hope not. So what about you?
All right. I've got a couple. First, AFC North College Football Hills, shout out Trojans, that I'm willing to die on, is Liam Eichenberg is going to be bad again for the Miami Dolphins. However, the Miami Dolphins might choose to move on from Liam Eichenberg because he's so bad. So my second AFC North College Football hill that I'm willing to die on is, if the Miami Dolphins cut Liam Eichenberg, Bengals fans are going to lose their crap and want the Cincinnati Bengals to sign Liam Eichenberg, which will make me want to lose my crap. Just wait, Adam. I promise you it's going to be bad. So that's 2. And for this year's draft, wow, I think I'm going to one-up you.
Okay.
My AFC North College Football hill I'm willing to die on for the 2023 draft is Peter Skoranek is not good.
Really? Peter Skoronski?
Bro, whatever his name is.
Yeah.
Skoronski. That dude is not that. Wow.
Yeah, and he might be a top 10 or 15 pick too.
Wow.
Probably will be. Really, he'll probably be the first tackle taken.
Wow. Wow. I don't get it. Sometimes you just watch a player and you go, huh? What? And you can already see people backpedaling a little bit because they're saying, he might not play tackle. He might be better suited as a guard. I'm like, you're not drafting a dude top 10 as a left tackle and saying, oh, he's going to be a guard. So you can kind of see it a little bit where people are kind of hedging their bets. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. He's not going to be good.
I'm going to make a prediction. I think he's going to stay in the Chicago area, and he's going to play for the Bears. I think that's who they're going to take.
I wish the Browns are the other team, the yellow and black team. I wish they would take him.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't they take him? I would love for them to take him. I'm feeling good about that one. I don't see it. Now, I could be wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. But I watched him a few times and I just don't get it. But anyway. And that is our AFC North College Football hills that we are willing to die on. Brought to you by Cubanisto. One day, maybe soon, have yourself a Cubanisto. on a beach.
I've never had a Cubanisto.
I don't know.
Is that a hot take?
They have to hot take have a
Is that a hot
Cubanisto
take? I've
that
never had it.
that
I've
you've
never
never
had
had
one.
one.
Yeah.
I don't know because I don't know
I
if
don't
they
know if I've
sell
ever seen them in
Cubans.
stores.
I don't know if they sell them in the States.
Okay.
I could be wrong. I've never thought to look for one in the States either. But
So when I pop the top of a Cubanisto, what am I tasting? What's in there?
it is well, this flavor is just a straight up rum flavor.
Rum flavored beer.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Oh,
Okay.
it's delicious. Delicious. And then they have well, it's all based on rum, but then they have a mojito flavor, rum. They have like a cinnamon spice flavor. So yeah, they've got a few different flavors, but it's delicious. My favorite beer. But Adam, before we get out of here, I know why everybody's here.
Here it comes.
They want me to break down Paris-Roubaix. Adam, what a race. What a race. It was a classic, a one-day classic, Paris-Roubaix. And one of the saddest things, or one of the most unfortunate things that I've ever seen in cycling history is before the race started, Peter Sagan said, somebody asked him, is this going to be your last Paris-Roubaix race? And his response was, I hope so. I hope so. And then what did he go out and do? He went out and he crashed out of Paris-Roubaix. A lot of these dudes crashed out of Paris-Roubaix, but I thought that was sad and ironic a little bit. And then we had the showdown, Wout van Aert versus Mathieu van der Poel, because Pogacar, Pikachu, as you call him, or as I like to call him, tap that ass Pogacar, because he's always tapping that ass because he's winning every race he participates in these days. But he didn't participate in Paris-Roubaix because it's a little bit dangerous. So you have Wout van Aert versus Mathieu van der Poel. And Adam, I'm just going to cut straight to the end because we don't have a lot of time left. And Adam, we were deprived of one of the most wonderful classic finishes ever in the history of humanity because of a bleeping tire puncture. A bleeping tire puncture. Wout van Aert blew out his tire with 15 kilometers to go. It was just him and Mathieu van der Poel, and they were neck and neck, and they were setting up for a showdown. At one point, Mathieu van der Poel attacked and Wout van Aert caught up to him, and Wout van Aert had his teammate Christopher Laporte. He blew out a tire. He had a mechanical problem, and then they were a couple seconds down. They got it back up. His group got back up to 57 seconds, and that was as close as they got. Then Mathieu van der Poel attacked, and then Wout van Aert went with him, and then Wout van Aert got a tire puncture. I can't believe that happened, and we were deprived of one of the best finishes in Paris-Roubaix history between the two rivals, Wout van Aert and Mathieu van der Poel. However, congratulations to Mathieu van der Poel for his Paris-Roubaix victory a couple of weeks ago. And yeah, it was a wonderful race. Lots of crashes, lots of action and excitement. And yeah, sorry that Peter Sagan crashed out of his last Paris-Roubaix. I hope he comes back because I'm sad to see him finish like that. But if he does finish like that, it's been a great career. He's won a Paris-Roubaix, so it's been wonderful to watch him ride that race. But Adam, wow, so disappointed.
I'm really sorry to hear that. You'd be impressed. You'd be proud of me because I actually made the attempt to watch it. I was looking for it, and
NBC
to no
Sports.
avail. I know. I looked for it and I couldn't find it. I need to try again probably, but
probably.
But that would interest me with the cobblestone, and you have an uneven surface, and that would be kind of interesting. So.
Well, right now, we just finished Flèche Wallonne. We just finished. I didn't finish anything but Flèche Wallonne. Would you like to take one guess who won Flèche Wallonne?
Lance Armstrong.
I hate you so much. Pogacar won.
Oh, my guy. Yeah.
Yeah, you're a guy, but everything he's been in lately, he's been winning everything. Like if you're a bike racer right now, you don't want to see Pogacar anywhere near a race because you're going to lose. You're racing for second place. It's just getting ridiculous at this point. I'm pretty sure when the Tour de France comes around, people are going to be throwing piss on him because they think he's cheating or something, because that's what people do during bike races. Because I don't know why people do disgusting things like that. But yeah, if you're not watching cycling, I don't know what to tell you. It's a wonderful race. It's about teamwork and individuals at the same time. You got lots of characters. You got lots of rivalries. You got everything. You got domination. You got a whole team Jumbo Visa going up against one person Pogachar. You got the cobblestones. It's wonderful, Adam. I hope you get into it. And you and I need to start some type of I don't know, podcast or something, just talking about cycling.
I would be no help at this point.
But I think that would be the fun of it.
Yeah.
Two Cincinnati kids just talking about cycling.
Talking about cycling. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, good. Well, hey, I have some it's pretty exciting news because the next time you all see our faces, the Bengals will have made their pick.
Yes.
And next time you see us, we'll be talking about draft results. So I'm pretty excited about that.
I am too. So I would like to say I'm gonna get on here and talk about some stuff on my own, but it's just, man, the weeks are busy and the days go by fast. So you're probably right.
Yep. So I guess sorry we've shortchanged our viewers over the last month or so because schedules unfortunately haven't synced up, but is what it is. But
it hasn't synced up. My schedule's been full.
So. Yeah, that's what I mean. But anyway, I enjoyed your top 10.
And I enjoyed yours.
Appreciate it. I'm curious to see what happens next week. So
am I, and I will get this out to the people as soon as possible.
Fantastic.
All right, and until next time, Bengals fans, be safe, be careful, have a great day, have a Who Day.
Who Day.
Marie!
What?
Babe, can you go get me some more Cubanisto? I don't have any more Cubanisto, please.
Pardon? Mais ça va pas ou quoi? Mais va le chercher ton cubanisto. Et lui non? Il est fou, mais je crois pas.